How's it going, everyone? This is Sarai the Samurai, and welcome to another hardcore Nuzlocke video. So before getting into this video, I want to just say thank you so much for all the support over the last couple of weeks. It's definitely been interesting to see the growth I've had, and I'm excited to see where this keeps going. So, over on my Twitch channel, I've been playing all the games from Generation 1 all the way to Gen 8 to kind of prep myself for the ROM hacks. And this particular Nuzlocke was the last step in me starting Radical Red. And I will say, this attempt, I don't know how to put it, I should have lost. Honestly, I should have not won this attempt. There was some insane RNG, but I pulled through, and I'm actually really excited to show you guys how I won this Nuzlocke. So, without further ado, let's start the video. I start the game, I set my settings, and I choose my starter. I choose Score Bunny because it's the only starter I haven't used, and I battle Hop. I easily take out his Wooloo using a couple of tackles, and then once Hop sends out Grookey, it takes a couple of embers to take out the Grookey. I am finally able to catch a Pokemon, and I run into a Squovette. Then I catch a Rookity. Then after accidentally talking to this dude, I get an Eevee, which I name No, because I did not want that Eevee, because that stops me from getting an Eevee that can evolve. Then I run into a Baltoy, which gives me a little bit of trouble. I essentially sacrifice No in order to catch this Baltoy. And then I run into a Stuffle. After a couple turns of trying to weaken its attack, Stuffle uses a Payback, which crits and takes Score Bunny out. Then I catch a Wooper with no issue at all, and a Magikarp. Then I luckily find a Vulpix, which I named Kushina after Naruto's mom. Then I accidentally enter a battle with this school trainer girl, and she kills my Squovette, which I was definitely mad about because that was one of my counters for Bede. Then I run into a Timber, which I do catch. Then after accidentally running into a wild Drillbur, I was a little low on health, so I went into my Rookity. And Drillbur takes Rookity out using Fury Swipes.
No!
And as you can see, I was not too happy about that. So then it's my first battle with Bede. Stuffle is the only Pokemon I have that has a super effective move against Bede's Psychic type, so I lead with Stuffle, knowing it's a double-edged sword. After a Payback nearly takes Solosis out, one Confusion takes me way below half. So then after killing with this Payback, Gothita comes out and I switch into my Baltoy Ush. After taking a Side Beam that resists, I start to Rock Tomb, lowering Gothita's speed and then realizing that it has the ability Competitive, which boosts its special attack. So then I start to just go for the Rapid Spin, boosting my own speed, and Gothita is tickling me to lower my defense. I think it doesn't have a physical move. After about 4 tickles, that proves me wrong. After a pound that nearly kills, I switch Baltoy out and go straight to Wooper. Wooper goes straight down to one Side Beam, and then I go into my Vulpix. I forget that Vulpix has Payback, so I use that and take Gothita out. Then comes Hatenna. One Payback takes its health a little above half, and then the second Payback takes it to the red. And then the next Payback takes Hatenna out, and I beat Bede. Then I catch a Meowth. And I backtrack to catch the Slowpoke, in case I need it later on. Then it's my first battle with Milo. Milo sends out Glossifleur, and I send out my Gyarados. I start with an Ice Fang, and one Ice Fang takes Glossifleur out. And then Milo sends out Eldegoss. After Dynamaxing, one Ice Fang, Eldegoss' health only goes down by a third. Then I protect to waste a turn, taking a little damage in the process. Then I switch into Kushina, and Max Strike takes Kushina below half, lowering my speed. But I get a little health back as well, and Eldegoss' Dynamax is over. So, after using a Protect to get a little bit of health back, I use Disable and Disable Round. Then, after taking a Leafage, Incinerate doesn't do as much damage as I would like, so I switch right back into Gyarados. And Eldegoss uses Magical Leaf, One Ice Fang almost takes out Eldegoss, and then after taking another Leafage, I use Bite to take Eldegoss out, earning me the first badge of Galar. Then I run to a Swirlix. Then I pick up the free Toxel, which I do plan on trading later. Then I catch Arcuda. After a little bit of grinding, it's time to battle Nessa, which I do end up using Toxel for. Goldeen uses Horn Attack, and I lead with a Nuzzle, paralyzing Goldeen and lowering its speed. Then I use Protect to get a little bit of health back. Then I go for Acid, because it is my strongest move. Goldeen's special defense drops, and Horn Attack does hit. After a little bit of deliberation, I switch Toxel out for my Meowth, who takes a Horn Attack. After a Fake Out and then a Seed Bomb, Goldeen goes down. Then comes Arcuda. Meowth takes an Aqua Jet, and his Seed Bomb almost takes Arcuda out. After one more Aqua Jet, Meowth's second Seed Bomb takes it out. Now comes Dreadnought. Dreadnought Dynamaxes. I Protect, and Max Darkness does very little damage. Then I switch into my Arcuda, who takes a Max Geyser. Then I Protect, and Max Strike does a little more damage than I thought it would, taking Arcuda down to the red. Then I switch into Gyarados, knowing Dreadnought doesn't have a Rock-type move, and I take a Razor Shell. After taking another Razor Shell, Waterfall takes Dreadnought below half. Not wanting to risk a crit, I switch Gyarados into Stuffle. Razor Shell does take my defense down, and I use Baby Doll Eyes. Razor Shell takes my defense down again, and I switch Stuffle into Timber. Razor Shell does another defense drop, and the next Razor Shell almost takes Timber out, but luckily it survives, and Low Kick takes Dreadnought down. And I earn my second badge. Then I catch a Scraggy, a Noctowl, and a Palpitoad before the gym. In the gym, I catch a Litwick. Then after a little time, it is time to battle Kabu. Kabu leads with Ninetales, and I lead with Peppers. I start with Dive, avoiding a Will-O-Wisp, and one dive takes Ninetales out with a crit. Then comes Arcanine. Peppers does take a Intimidate. I dive again. Arcanine uses Agility, and dive hits, taking Arcanine below half. After taking a Will-O-Wisp, my Raspberry activates, getting rid of the burn, and I dive again. Arcanine uses Will-O-Wisp again, and dive takes Arcanine out. Now comes Centiskorch. I still am intimidated, but I think I could take Centiskorch out. So I dive. Dive only does a third of damage, and Max Flutterby takes Peppers down to yellow, lowering my special attack. For the content, I'm going for it. Instead of switching, I dive again, thinking, once Centiskorch's Dynamax is up, that dive should be enough to take it out. And it survives, with a Bug Bite taking Peppers down. Yeah, I kind of should have expected that. I send Gyarados out and finish it off with a Waterfall, earning my third badge. Then after trying to catch Ghastly, one Hex takes my Meowth, who has full health, completely out. I do end up catching Ghastly, only after it curses twice. Then I catch Torkoal, Galarian Zigzagoon, Dewpider, and I trade my Toxel for Togepi. Then I catch my first Grass type, Maractus, and I revive Arcavish. Then my last encounter before the gym, I run into a Sinistea. Then it is time for Bea. Bea leads with Hitmontop, and I lead with Gengar because Hitmontop does not have a single attack that can touch Gengar. Quick Attack doesn't affect, and one Shadow Ball takes Hitmontop below half. Then I switch into Togekiss, who does take a Revenge. Dazzling Gleam takes Hitmontop down, then comes Pangoro. Togekiss does tank a Bullet Punch, and Dazzling Gleam takes Pangoro out. Then comes Surfetch, which I yawn, predicting it you would use Detect. Then I Dazzling Gleam, taking Surfetch down. Now comes probably the toughest Pokemon, Machamp. After Machamp Dynamaxes, I use Dazzling Gleam, which takes Machamp below half, and Togekiss tanks a Max Strike. My speed falls, and I switch into Gyarados, intimidating Machamp and taking a Max Strike. Then I use Protect, and Machamp uses Max Darkness, doing very little damage. And then Machamp's Dynamax is up. After taking a knockoff, I use Dragon Dance. I don't think an attack will take Machamp down, so I switch into Cluckunder, who takes a Scary Face. But after a low kick, Machamp goes down, earning me my fourth badge. Now it's Opal's turn, who leads with Weezing, and I lead with Claydol. One Extra Sensory almost takes Weezing out, and Weezing uses Fairy Wing. One more extrasensory takes Weezing out, and then comes Mawile. After taking Intimidate, I use Earth Power, which one-shots Mawile. Then comes Togekiss. I used an Ancient Power, and it does crit Togekiss. Air Slash does take me a little above half, and after answering a question and getting my special defense boosted, I use Ancient Power again, which does very little damage, and Claydol tanks the Air Slash. After another Ancient Power, I take it down to the red, and Air Slash does a little more damage. After one more Ancient Power, I take Togekiss out, finally getting the stat boost, which doesn't matter because I am switching out. After Alcremie comes out, I switch into Kushina, who tanks the G-Max finale. After answering a question right and getting a special attack boost, I use Spite, lowering Alcremie's only attack move by 4. Then after one more Spite, Alcremie cannot hit me. Then I Will-O-Wisp, and Ninetales takes a Sweet Kiss. After breaking through confusion, one Flamethrower takes Alcremie below half, and Alcremie Acid Armors. But I do hit myself in confusion, and Alcremie uses Acid Armor again. I do switch into Gengar, and Alcremie Acid Armors again. And after using Hex, Alcremie goes down. And I get my 5th badge. Then I catch a Carablast, a Rowlet, and a Snom. Then, after getting some fresh new threads and changing up my hair, I battle Gordie. Gordie leads with Barbicle, and I lead with Maractus. After a Shell Smash, Giga Drain takes Barbicle out in one hit. Then comes Shuckle. I switch Maractus out for Cluck Under, and Shuckle uses Rock Tomb, missing. After Rock Slide does below half, Shuckle goes for another Rock Tomb, missing. Then I bulk up. This Rock Tomb does hit, lowering my speed a little bit, and then I bulk up again. Rock Tomb hits again, lowering my speed by 2, and then I Rock Slide, taking Shuckle out. Stoneger comes out. Stoneger uses Wonder Room, and Blitz Brick Breaks, taking out in one shot. Then Gordie brings Colossal out. After a physical max flare, Blitz almost takes Colossal down with one Brick Break. Then after taking one more physical max flare, Brick Break takes Colossal down. And I get my 6th badge. Then I catch a Marini and a Clobbopus. Then after witnessing legitly the worst thing in the game, like seriously, how do you in Gen 5 give sounds to Roxy's gym, but not Piers? Anyway, Piers leads with Scrafty, and I lead with Togekiss. Scrafty fakes out, and then goes down to a Dazzling Gleam. Then Malamar comes out. One Dazzling Gleam almost takes Malamar down, and Psycho Cut crits, taking Togekiss down to half. Then Dazzling Gleam does take Malamar out. Obstagoon comes out next. First, I wish Togekiss takes a crit Shadow Claw. I'm forced to switch out, going into Clock Under, who tanks a Shadow Claw. Then I bulk up. Obstagoon goes for a counter, which fails. After tanking a Shadow Claw, I bulk up again. Obstagoon uses Obstruct, and I bulk up again. Shadow Claw does very little damage, and I bulk up one more time. Predicting the Obstruct, I go for Protect, but Obstagoon Shadow Claws. Obstagoon does Obstruct, and I go for the Brick Break. After tanking a Shadow Claw, Obstagoon goes down to a Brick Break. Then Pierce's last Pokemon comes out, which is a Skuntank. After a Toxic, Skuntank goes down to a Guts boosted Brick Break, which I don't know mattered or not, but definitely it doesn't hurt. And I get my 7th badge. Then I run into a Wobbuffet, which I find one of the most fun Pokemon to use in a Nuzlocke. But spoiler alert, I don't end up using it. Then I find a Cubchoo, a Nickit, and a Karkle. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. This is going to be my Charizard counter. Then I catch a Snowbird. And then it is time for Raihan. Raihan leads with Flygon and Gigalith, and I lead with Boost and Jack. Boost gets paralyzed after taking a Thunder Punch. Giga Drain doesn't do as much as I thought against Gigalith, but Ice Beam does take Flygon out, and Gigalith sets up Stealth Rocks. After Maractus almost goes down to a crit Fire Fang, Giga Drain gives a little bit of health back from Gigalith, and after an Ice Beam, Gigalith goes down. Duraludon comes out, and here's the dangerous part. I switch Maractus out for Cluck Under, and I switch Boost out for part of my Gengar. Duraludon Gigantamaxes, and Gengar almost goes down to a Max Rockfall. Sandaconda Fire Fangs Blitz, and I take a little bit of damage from Sandstorm. Now I do something really stupid. I think Gengar's going to be faster than the Duraludon, so I go for Perish Song, but Duraludon ends up being faster. After I use Protect on Blitz, Duraludon Max Rock Falls and takes Gengar out. And Sandaconda uses Glare, but obviously it fails because of being protected. Then I send out Claydol. Then Duraludon uses G-Max Depletion on Cluckunder, who tanks it. Earth Power almost takes Duraludon down. Sandaconda uses Glare on Claydol, and Cluckunder finishes Duraludon off with a Brick Break. Sandaconda glares Cluckunder. Extra Sensory does a little bit of damage, but Guts Boosted Brick Break takes Sandaconda out, earning me my last badge. 8 badges, baby. I lost Gengar to do it, but we got 8 badges. Then I catch Galarian Mr. Mime. Then, after trying to get some candies, I lose my Ninetales to a Max Quake Venusaur. No! Which was actually really disappointing. But now it's time for the first battle in the Champion Cup, which is Marnie. Marnie leads with Liepard, and I lead with Togekiss. I protect, predicting a fake out, but Liepard uses Nasty Plot. After taking a Snarl, losing a little bit of special attack, Liepard goes down to a Dazzling Gleam. Then Toxicroak comes out. I switch into Seismitoad, and Venoshock does very little damage. After tanking a Sucker Punch, Bulldoze nearly takes Toxicroak out. After a full restore, Bulldoze takes Toxicroak back to the red. And one last Bulldoze finishes Toxicroak out. Then comes more Morpeko. I switch Seismitoad into Cluckunder, predicting the Bullet Seed, and Bullet Seed misses. After taking a Spark, I get paralyzed. After taking one more Spark, Brick Break takes more Morpeko down. Then comes Scrafty. After bad A, I use a Scary Face. Blitz takes Scrafty out with a 1 Brick Break, and then comes Marnie's Ace, Grimmsnarl. I switch into Gyarados, getting an Intimidate off, and Marnie Gigantamaxes Grimmsnarl, and Max Starfall does about half. Then I use Protect, and G-Snooze does a little bit of damage. I switch Gyarados out into Boost. G-Snooze does a little under half. Then I switch into Togekiss, and Darkest Lariat does barely any damage. After a Torment, Dazzling Gleam takes Grimmsnarl to the red. Then after a bulk up, Air Slash takes Grimmsnarl out, and I beat Marnie. Now it's Hop's turn. Hop leads with Double, and I lead with Seismitoad. Double uses Carton Guard, and I use Drain Punch, which doesn't really do too much damage. After another Cotton Guard, I Drain Punch. Poison Touch activates, poisoning Double in the process. Then Double Body Slams, and I Drain Punch again. Poison takes Double down to the red. After a full restore, I use Aqua Ring. Then I Protect, Body Slam hits next turn, and I use Bulldoze to start to lower the speed. This goes on for a little bit. After taking another Body Slam and being paralyzed, I switch into Maractus, and Maractus takes a Body Slam and gets paralyzed. After using Spiky Shield, Double uses Body Slam and hurts himself a little bit. After taking one more Body Slam, I break through Paralysis, and Giga Drain finishes Double off. Then comes Corviknight. I switch into my Colossal, and Corviknight swaggers. I switch Colossal out and go into Boost, who tanks a Steel Wing. Then after tanking a Drill Peck, I Ice Beam, freezing Corviknight. But Corviknight thaws. What the frick is that luck? Hitting Boost with the Drill Peck, and I Ice Beam again. I switch back into Colossal, and Drill Peck does very little damage. Corviknight misses the Swagger, and Colossal takes Corviknight out. Then comes Snorlax. Predicting the high horsepower, I switch into Togekiss. Then predicting the Heavy Slam, I switch into Cluckunder. Then I Drain Punch, taking Snorlax out in one punch, and getting full health back. Pachirisu comes out next. Then I Rock Slide, taking Pachirisu to a little above half. Then Pachirisu uses Thunderbolt, paralyzing me. Being faster still, I use a Guts Boost to Drain Punch, taking Pachirisu out, and getting quite a bit of health back. Then Hop sends Rillaboom out. Knowing Rillaboom has only physical moves, I make the choice to stay in with Cluckunder. After tanking a Max Quake, one Drain Punch takes Rillaboom to a little above half. After tanking one more Max Quake, Drain Punch takes Rillaboom to the red, and my health goes back up. Knowing I can tank one more hit, I stay in. Max Overgrowth almost actually takes Blitz out. I break through the Paralysis, Drain Punch, and I beat Hop. What a crazy battle. Now it's time to fight Olea. Olea leads with Frostlass, and I lead with my Chandelure. Frostlass double teams, but my Flamethrower connects, taking Frostlass out in one hit. Then Olea sends Milotic out. Then I go into Maractus. Milotic uses Aqua Ring, then Safeguard, and I miss a Leech Seed. After another Aqua Ring, I use Leech Seed again, and Leech Seed connects. Then Milotic uses Surf, but Maractus is a Water Absorb, which I forgot it had. Giga Drain takes Milotic down to below half, and then Milotic recovers, and Giga Drain takes it right back down to the yellow. After a couple turns with Recover, Milotic uses Safeguard, and then Giga Drain takes it out. Then comes Slazzle. I go into Cluck Under, and Slazzle Poison Gases. After Venoshock does a lot more than I thought, a Guts boosted Stamping Stampede takes Slazzle out. Then comes Serena. I switch into Togekiss, tanking a Stomp. I use Protect to get a little more health back, and I Air Slash, taking it down. Then comes Garbodor. I use Protect to waste a turn, and Max Rockfall does very little damage. Then I switch into Cance, my Seismitoad. Seismitoad takes the attack, but gets poisoned in the process. A crit Max Quake nearly takes Seismitoad out, and after I get a Stomping Tantrum out, Poison finishes my Seismitoad off. Then I go into Chandelure, knowing it's one of my faster Pokemon on the team. After Garbodor uses Toxic Spikes, Chandelure's Shadow Ball doesn't take it out, but I get the special defense drop. But then Sandstorm finishes Garbodor off, and I beat Olea, but with one death. Now it's time for the last Bede fight. Bede sends out Mawile, and I send out Chandelure. One Flamethrower takes Mawile out, then Gardevoir comes out. Gardevoir goes for Wish, and I go for Shadow Ball, which nearly takes it out. After a full restore, Shadow Ball connects, and takes it out with a crit. Sheesh! Then comes Rapidash. After taking a Psycho Cut, Shadow Ball takes Rapidash out. Then comes Hatterene. I switch into Colossal. Hatterene Gigantamaxes, and Colossal takes a Max Mindstorm, nearly taking it out. Then I switch into my Claydol, and Hatterene uses Max Mindstorm again, which, being resisted, it does a lot of damage. After not seeing a safe switch, I decide to sack my Claydol. It goes down to a G-Max Smite, and then I go into Boost. I use Liquidation, and Hatterene uses Psychic. I use one more Liquidation, taking out Hatterene and beating Bede. Then it is time for my battle with Nessa. Nessa leads with Golisopod, and I lead with Mr. Rhyme. First I use Protect, predicting the first impression, but Golisopod actually goes for Swords Dance, which becomes really scary. Then I use Freeze Dry, almost taking it out, but activating Golisopod's emergency exit ability. And then comes Seeking. Seeking almost goes down to one Freeze Dry, living on one, but it Aqua Rings. After a full restore, we use Freeze Dry again, but this Freeze Dry doesn't do as much. One more Freeze Dry takes Seeking out, and Golisopod comes back out. I use Protect, always predicting the first impression. This time, she does use first impression. Now, this next Freeze Dry takes Golisopod out. Next up comes Barraskewda. First, I use Protect, just to scout, and it uses Throat Chop. Knowing that it's faster, has high attack, and knowing that Throat Chop is a Dark-type move, I go into Boost, and Boost tanks a Throat Chop. After tanking one more, Boost's Freeze Dry takes Barraskewda out in one hit. Then Pelipper comes out, but one Freeze Dry takes Pelipper out. Now comes Dreadnought. This time, Dreadnought actually does have some Rock-type moves. So, after Dreadnought Gigantamaxes, I use Protect. Dreadnought uses Max Rockfall, and Max Rockfall does a little bit of damage. Expecting another Max Rockfall, I go into Cluck Under, and Dreadnought does use another Max Rockfall, which does very little damage. I Protect to waste the Gigantamax's last turn, and it uses Max Darkness, which does no damage at all. After taking a Liquidation, Drain Punch takes Dreadnought out in one punch, and I beat Nessa. Next up is Bea. She leads with Hanalucha, and I lead with Togekiss. Hanalucha leads with Bounce, and I miss my Dazzling Gleam. Then I Protect, and Hanalucha's High Jump Kick misses, and it goes down to my next Dazzling Gleam. Next, Phalanx comes out, but it goes down to one Dazzling Gleam. Then out comes Grapplock, and Dazzling Gleam takes it out. Next, Surfetched, and of course, Dazzling Gleam takes it out. Now Machamp comes out. Bea Gigantamaxes her Machamp, and one Dazzling Gleam takes it down to a little above half. Togekiss tanks a Max Flare, taking it to a little above half. Then I Protect, and Machamp uses Max Strike. Then I switch into Chandelure, knowing that Machamp has nothing that can really hit Chandelure. Then after one Flamethrower, Machamp goes down. Bea was definitely the easiest battle of the tournament. Alright, last up is Raihan. He leads with Torkoal, and I lead with Chandelure. I start with the Shadow Ball, taking Torkoal down to a third of health. Then Torkoal yawns. I Shadow Ball again, taking Torkoal out, but Chandelure falls asleep. Then Flygon comes out. I switch into Boost, and Flygon uses Sandstorm. After taking an Earthquake, Flygon goes down to one Ice Beam. Then Goodra comes out. This actually takes a little bit because I decided to PP stall Goodra's Thunder. And with Maractus having Water Absorb, Thunder was the only thing it could hit it with. Then after all the stalling, I go into Mr. Rime, taking a Muddy Water from Goodra. Then I Protect. Then I use Freeze Dry, taking Goodra to a little above half. And Muddy Water hits, taking Mrs. Datfire to 3 HP. But then I switch into Boost, and Muddy Water misses. Muddy Water misses again, and I use Ice Beam, taking Goodra down to red. Raihan uses Full Restore, and Ice Beam takes Goodra back down to a little above half. Goodra uses Surf, and an Ice Beam takes it back to the red. Muddy Water hits, and it's a critical, but Goodra goes down to Freeze Dry. Now comes Turtonator. I switch into Colossal, and Turtonator tries to use Shell Trap. After Sunny Day, I use Smackdown, which doesn't do too much. Then Turtonator uses Dragon Pulse. That does quite a bit of damage, but I set up Stealth Rocks. Then after another Dragon Pulse, I hit Turtonator with Smackdown. Not knowing if it will survive another attack, I switch into Chandelure. Dragon Pulse does a little bit of damage. I try and go for a Shadow Ball, but I stay asleep and Turtonator uses Sunny Day. Then Turtonator uses Shell Trap, and I am still asleep by the end of the turn. Still asleep at the end of the turn, I take one more Dragon Pulse. But then I risk it. I wake up and hit the Shadow Ball, and take Turtonator out. Now comes Droladon. This becomes really dangerous. All my Pokemon are pretty low right now, so it means I need to sack someone to get a safe switch into Cluck Under. I end up switching Mr. Rime out, and Droladon Gigantamaxes, and Max Rockfall takes Mr. Rime out. Then I switch into Boost. I need to waste one more turn, so I Protect, and Max Knuckle takes me to red, but doesn't take me out. Sandstorm does almost take me out though, but then I switch into my Cluck Under. After tanking a Max Rockfall, the Gigantamax is done. Droladon Dragon Claws, taking me down to yellow, but one Drain Punch almost takes it out. Then Droladon Iron Heads. Luckily, I don't flinch, and Drain Punch takes Droladon out. And I beat Raihan. Now, it's time to fight Chairman Rose, who probably has the best music in the game. He leads with Escavalier, and I lead with Chandelure. One Flamethrower takes Escavalier out. Then comes Berserker. One Flamethrower does take Berserker out. Then comes Klinklang. It ends up being faster, and does some pretty hefty damage to Chandelure. But one crit Flamethrower does end up taking it out. Then comes Ferrothorn. And you know the drill. One Flamethrower takes Ferrothorn out. Alright, now comes Copperajah. I don't see Flamethrower taking Copperajah out, so predicting a ground type move, I switch into Snips. And it does use Max Quake. Then I Protect. And the G-Max Steel move does do quite a bit of damage, and sets up spikes. Then I switch out into Boost. And the G-Max Steel almost takes it out. I switch Boost out into Blitz, and Iron Head does quite a bit of damage. I use Protect, fearing that Copperajah is faster, and I get a little bit of health back with leftovers. I use Drain Punch, and it almost takes Copperajah out. Heavy Slam does do a lot of damage, but one more Drain Punch takes Copperajah out, and therefore beating Chairman Rose. Then it's Eternatus. I lead with Blitz and basically use Stomping Tantrum throughout the whole fight, slowly dwindling Eternatus down. And then I'm forced to catch it, and then put it in the box for all eternity. So before the Elite Four, I was doing some candy grinding, and I accidentally overleveled my Cluck Under. No! Then after a little more candy grinding, I find this.
Let's go! Oh my god!
And then it's time for the champion, Leon. He leads with Aegislash, and I lead with my Gyarados. Now, my big plan is to Dragon Dance and take out his two dragons at the very least. First turn he King Shields, and I go for Dragon Dance. Then I Protect.
knowing he's going to attack next.
And Leon's Aegislash uses Shadow Ball. I Dragon Dance one more time, and Aegislash uses Shadow Ball, getting a special defense drop in the process. Then I start to go for the kill. I use a Waterfall, and Aegislash goes down.
Then Dragapult comes out. Knowing I'm faster, I go for Ice Fang, and one Ice Fang takes Dragapult out. Then comes Mr. Rime. I use Waterfall, and I take Mr. Rime out. Then comes Haxorus. One Ice Fang also takes Haxorus out. Then Inteleon comes out. This is where I was expecting to lose Gyarados, and I would have been okay with it. But one Waterfall takes it below half, and it survives a Dark Pulse. Which, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting. Then after one more Waterfall, Inteleon goes down. And then here comes Charizard. I know I Dragon Danced twice, but there's no way that a Waterfall will kill Charizard, right?
Training! That was so anticlimactic.
Yeah! I said it. That was an anticlimactic battle, which kind of blew me away. I lost to Leon my second attempt. So beating him just with Gyarados after having a full team ready to take him on was surprising, but I did it. I beat Pokemon Sword in a hardcore Nuzlocke in 3 attempts.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and click the bell if you want to know when I post another video. Also, if you ever want to see what I'm doing on Twitch, link in the description down below. I actually have started my Radical Red hardcore Nuzlocke, and that's going as well as you could expect. So, if you want to catch that live, then feel free to follow me on Twitch. Alright guys, this was fun. Much love, thank you again for watching this video, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.